Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we've got a very packed agenda, as you can tell from the depth and the quality of the materials provided by Daniel. So we'll have a lot to get through tonight. Welcome to our guest, Fiona. We'll sort of introduce you in a moment. First of all, if we go through the apologies, I understand Councillors Paczek and Ray are unable to join us, but we are joined by Councillor Chichester-Miles, who substituted for Councillor Ray. Yes, yeah, indeed. Okay, are we able to accept the apologies, please? Thank you. Okay, good. Are there any declarations of interest for the items on the agenda? Councillor Rose?
On the community grants application for Harpenden Mancastle, where they're originally they've taken an allotment. I should mention that my wife has an allotment in Southdown. Not in the same area, so she's in Dart Lane rather than Churchfield, but I thought I'd better mention it.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. Okay, right, so the next item on the agenda is the Chairman's report, and sort of contrary to tradition, I'm going to sort of make a slightly more substantial contribution than I think what we're used to, but if you just bear with me for a few moments. I've shared a hard copy of the document for you to read through. And Carl's been just very kind at short notice, I might add, to provide some relevant sort of guidance on do's and don'ts and regarding the code of conduct. So I've updated in the time available to the best of my ability, but obviously we'll sort of just make sure that we're on the right side of the line based on the comments. But let me just make this statement and we'll take it from there. So this is on the subject of parking in Harpenden, which is in the specific scope of this committee, and that's why I'm making this statement. So the May 16th edition of the St Albans Times, published recently, featured an issue with Paul DeCourt, who's the incoming leader of St Albans District Council, SADC. And this interview included statements relating to the introduction of charges for the free parking bays across the district, including those within the Harpenden town centre. Now, as detailed in this interview, the context behind SAD's intent to introduce these charges is a challenging budgeting process for their upcoming financial year, in which the District Council had to make many difficult decisions regarding income and expenditure. And SADC, like many local authorities, faces a number of challenges regarding funding, inflation, and the increasing demand for their services. In November 2023, Harpenden Town Council voted without objection to pass the 24 to 28 business plan. This plan enjoyed cross-party support from both Liberal Democrat and Conservative members. And the plan included the following public commitments made on behalf of the Town Council to our community. Firstly, related to the vision for Harpenden, which is a thriving town where people want to live, to work, to invest in, and to visit. And secondly, one of the specific strategic objectives and themes was to promote the economic and commercial vitality of small businesses, including the High Street, Southdown, and other retail hubs. And as mentioned before, the terms of reference for this committee specifically include the High Street and its economic development, and that's why I'm making this statement today. In the last 5 weeks, in my capacity as not only as a town councillor, but as chair of this committee, I've personally met with the owners and managers of 55 businesses operating in and around the High Street to discuss parking matters in Harpenden, and including, I'm very glad to see our neighbour and our guest, Fiona, over here. And I've also been in contact via email with a further 34 High Street businesses on the same topic. These businesses supply a diverse and essential range of services, including groceries, gifts, hair and beauty services, fashion, health services, estate agency, hospitality, jewellery, financial services, and even plant hire. They pay millions of pounds every year in business rates to St Albans District Council. They support hundreds of full-time and part-time jobs, and they play an essential role in making Harpenden a thriving town. These businesses, in particular independent retailers, face significant challenges. They pay high rent and rates. Many independent retailers are still paying government bounce-back loans from the pandemic. Many businesses have been hit by inflation, affecting staff wages, the cost of their resale goods, and their operating expenses. And many of their customers are struggling with the cost of living, which has impacted their disposable income. Now, I've listened carefully and to the best of my ability to the feedback from the retailers regarding the expected changes to the SADC parking regime. They've helped me understand in detail how each business relies on local parking provisions to enable their customers to shop and spend money, their suppliers to make deliveries, and their staff to travel to and from work. These businesses have suggested many opportunities to improve the current parking policy and provision in Harpenden. These include layout, signage, disabled parking, loading bays, permit pricing for part-time and volunteer staff, information, capacity, and enforcement. Many high street businesses rely on customers being able to park and carry out a 30 to 60-minute shopping event without incurring charges. To bring this to life, these events include collecting a prescription, dropping off a parcel, buying a last-minute card and gift, or an impulse purchase based on a window display. There is a strong consensus of opinion amongst our high street businesses that charging for high street parking spaces may impact customer behaviour and trading. These concerns have also been reported in local media. There are challenges with staff parking. I've been informed by local businesses that they are struggling to attract and deploy staff in their Harpenden stores due to the expense of local parking. This includes volunteers in our charity shops, many of whom are retired and travel by car to work in the high street. Since the above-mentioned interview in the St Albans Times, Harpenden Town Council has received no further information from SADC regarding the changes to the parking regime. SADC has postponed the intended public consultation due to the general election, but as yet has not published the revised timing of this consultation nor confirmed its scope. Okay, so I'm stopping there, in particular based on the very kind and timely advice from Carl, based on the standing orders and the code of conduct. There is more to say on this perhaps a later point in time, but I'm deliberately making this because I think it's a relevant agenda item for this council, for this committee rather, and the general election notwithstanding, I do believe it's sort of an urgent item related to the health of our high street. So. I've made my statement and I'm happy to take any questions or comments in response to that. The next agenda item will be some public questions.
I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think it's to your credit, Richard, that you've been round to so many high street stores and spent your own time taking the time to speak to the people on the high street, the shops, the managers, the owners, and working out what the issues are, and actually, doing that off your own back. No one's asked you to do it, and I think you're absolutely right to have done it. I should say, as a sort of not a conflict yet, because I haven't actually been to any meetings because I'm very new to the district council, but I have also been voted onto the district council. I read this document with interest, and I have been involved in asking for documents from the district council. Because I feel that these are live issues, and I'm actually quite envious of the guys going into any national politics, because they aren't and cannot have anything to do with the issues that we're facing here. These are town council and district council issues that we are going to be faced with and we'll be dealing with in the relatively short term. But there we are.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Just to follow up, the next agenda item is, I'm happy to blend the agenda. I'm really pleased that Fiona's joined us tonight. Is the protocol we get the councillors' comments first, because I would like to give Fiona a quick platform.
I'm not sure that under that item there should necessarily be councillor comments as a part of the debate on that item. I think that's just a statement, and then we can move to the next item.
So I'm happy to take any further councillor statements in response to my statement. Okay, thank you. So that will close item 3. So item 4 is public questions. We have a standing order number 20, which gives local residents and business owners the right to A, attend, and B, ask a question of the council. So, Fiona, would you mind introducing yourself to the council?
Chair, sorry, just before you do that, I just need to make it clear that under the standing orders of public participation, there's a lead-in period that people need to advise to be speaking at committees. So just to confirm, that hasn't happened for this evening. So should you wish to take public participation, you'd essentially need to adjourn the meeting and then if you wish to take a discussion and then restart the meeting afterwards, because otherwise you'd be outside the standing orders. And I must add one other thing. Councillor Scott did ask for my advice prior to the meeting, which I provided, and you've made reference to me twice in that. I just need to make it clear that it doesn't necessarily mean the approach you've taken, I think, may be in line with my advice. I just need to make that on the
Sure.
record as well.
That's fine. And just on the record, I didn't give you sight of the exact text of the document beforehand, so it was an uncited piece of general advice that you did provide. But I stand by the comments that I've made. So just in the interests of, so as chair, I'm very happy to receive a question or a statement from Mrs. Thomas. Is that, are we able to do that, Carl?
Chair, not within the standing orders as they currently sit. So should the committee wish to hear from Fiona, you could adjourn the meeting. You could for the period of time that you wish to have that conversation, and then afterwards you can restart the meeting.
Can we adjourn that in real time?
Sorry?
Can we adjourn that in real time? So I would like to hear the comments from Ms. Thomas.
So you can adjourn now. We can stop the recording. We can pause the meeting. Dan and I may stay or we may leave. And then once you're ready to restart the actual formal agenda that you've been summoned to, you can then.
Great, I'm fine. I'm happy to. I would say the intent. I would like the councillors to hear tonight from Fiona. I think it's important relevance. Okay, so if we could just make the process work to support the community rather than the other way around, I think that would be very welcome. So if we just pause the recording.
Just see, okay.